What's up, Infected, and welcome to the Quarantine. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a game that's coming to Kickstarter by the name of Alice in Shroomland. And if you like what you see in this video, I will have a link to the Kickstarter up in the corner and down in the description. It'll take you directly to their Kickstarter page when it's available. It'll provide way more information than I can possibly cover in this video. Another thing I need to state, as usual with Kickstarter reviews, everything you see here is a prototype copy of the game, and it is of course subject to change. Now, Alice in Shroomland is a deck builder that's set in a twisted, like druggy version of Wonderland, where there's eating shrooms is the drug version of eating shrooms, and there are lots of drug references in the game. However, it also incorporates kind of a legendary encounters style combat or map area where these cards are face down and they're moving all the way until a predetermined location where they then flip over and just do a bunch of damage to the players. All the while, the players are trying desperately to try to tailor their decks and get their decks more efficient and try to defeat the main boss. And you also get the choice of two different factions, whether you want to be the good guys trying to defend Wonderland or the bad guys trying to attack Wonderland. So enough kind of with the ramble here, let's head over to the overview. In a game of Alice in Shroomland, the players are going to choose whether they want to be the Sativas or the Indinkas, and I may be mispronouncing those. Now, before you start a game of Alice in Shroomland, you're going to decide whether or not you want to be the good guys, the bad guys, and you're going to set up the equipment deck and the encounter deck up here according to which side you're wanting to play, whether you're trying to attack or defend Wonderland. Then each player is going to wind up deciding what character they want, so in this case, the Pure White Rabbit. And you're going to choose a deck of your choosing, and you're going to set up the fields as you see here. Now each player also has a colored meeple you're going to put on your character sheet here, or your character card, and then if your character is present on one of these locations, such as the Pure White Rabbit picture is shown here on the Wacky Garden Tea Party, you would put this here, and if you ever have a face-up enemy there, which will make sense shortly, you're going to get a bonus. So at the beginning of your turn, you're going to draw the top 6 cards off of your deck, and you must activate the abilities of every card before anything happens. So in this case, I may play my Tripper Kit. Now your Tripper Kit is your actual character card here. So in this case, this is the only one that I have that actually has any kind of ability. So I play this, I activate my Tripper Kit, maybe do whatever it says, and then you can buy cards. Now if we look at one of the cards, as you see here, this is what you purchase cards with. Now cards also have a numerical value in the top left. That's how much you need to purchase that card. So in this case, I get 2 from my Tripper Kit because I got to activate it. I get 1 from this card, 0 from here, 1 from this, 0 from these. So I'm looking at a total of 4 buying power. So then you get to buy, of course, any number of cards that you have out here. However, the similarities with the legendary encounter system is if you ever have a face-down card on one of these locations, you can spend 2 of your buying power in order to flip this card over. So if I were to purchase a card, just like any normal deck builder, I were to buy maybe this, has a requirement of 3, and it'll wind up giving me 3 additional buying power and has an ability. Of course, it goes to your discard pile, just like any normal deck builder. And then you have to discard your entire hand like a normal deck builder, and now you have to advance a couple other things across the board. However, whenever you purchase cards, if you have a face-up enemy on your space, you're going to wind up getting +1 buying power. And if during that buying power you buy a member of your own faction, instead of putting it into your discard pile at the end of your turn, you can actually swap out your current leader with that, the one you already have active, thus allowing you to potentially move your pawn up here to any available space that has that character's portrait on it. And so first and foremost, the Ominous Dark Forest that's always in play, if there's any cards on that, any curses, they're all going to go to your discard pile, which is a bad thing. Then if there are any enemies there, they're all going to be discarded except for the final boss that's right here. They would all be discarded, and you will take 1 ouch card right here and put it into your discard pile. Then you're going to move everything down by 1. and then take the top card here and put it face down on the furthest left location, or right, depending on how you have it set up. Now the ultimate goal is to defeat the main bad guy. Now he's going to be the first thing that comes out, and they automatically flip when they get to the ominous dark forest. So you're going to be taking some damage because of him, because even though he doesn't discard, as long as he's over there, at the end of every one of your turns you will take an ouch and put it into your discard pile. So it becomes a race against the clock. Now the game can be played in either a cooperative mode, where you're working together to try to stop this invasion, or a competitive mode, where you're still trying to stop the invasion or trying to invade, but you're also hurting your opponent as well. Anytime you destroy a curse up in the row here, they would go into your opponent's deck. Anytime you would defeat something, your opponent would actually wind up getting an ouch card. So up to personal taste of which one of the two methods you would decide to play. Alright, Alice in Shroomland. Well, the theme first and foremost is going to turn off a lot of people. A lot of the cards are jokes that usually drug related. For example, you have the finish it, and it's a pipe packed with pot. The tightly rolled joint. A lot of them are just blatant, drug references, which, depending on your group, is going to be very hit or miss. But overall, how is the game? Well, overall the game is fun. It's functional. It's a standard deck builder with a little bit of like a legendary mixed in with it, where you have that row of abilities, or the locations here, and the cards are going to slowly move across the board, and you're trying to uncover them and destroy the cards before they have a chance to reach the final location. When they reach the final location, you just start getting punched in the face repeatedly. So, it's a functional deck builder, but is it fun? In a nutshell, yeah, I think the game is a pretty decent amount of fun. It basically, like I mentioned earlier, is kind of like Legendary Encounters, but it doesn't take forever to set up and forever to tear down, which is really nice. The game is fairly simple. It plays fairly quickly. I've played this with 2 and 4 players, and each time for the number of players, it played reasonably quickly. The differences between the competitive and the cooperative mode, to be honest, seem a little silly. We actually preferred the co-op version, because the competitive version we're on the same team, we're both attacking Wonderland or we're both defending it. Why are we screwing each other over? And it just seemed to kind of be, break that theme. But the co-op version was a lot of fun. It was very difficult. Granted, we were playing as the bad guys, which is also very difficult. But, we were playing with the bad guys, we played as the good guys, and the co-op version is quite a lot of fun. It's very functional, and it works. It doesn't really break the mold too much. It just works. It's functional. However, the game does have a few problems, as most games do. The one that I already mentioned, of course, the theme. The very drug-heavy theme is going to turn a lot of people off of the game. Which, that's fine. But, just know that there is blatant, not even like trying to be clever, there is a lot of alcohol reference. For example, you have the ever-flowing leather flask, which you could go on the limb and say, well, maybe it's not alcohol, but here you have just blatant pot brownies. So the theme of that doesn't really feel like it's there. It almost feels like it's there to stand out, to be like, we have a druggy game, but overall the game doesn't really feel like it fits that theme. You could really paste anything onto the theme and it would still feel the same, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just know that is going to be a big deal for some people. And another one of the problems that we did have is some of these creatures that you have to fight, you never seed the deck, like for example the Attack on Titan deck builder. You wind up seeding the deck, so the game gets progressively more difficult. All of the Titans are a decent level where they're going to be challenging, but not too challenging, so you have the chance to build up your deck. This, you made the first card you pull out next to you're always going to pull out the main boss first, but the next card you pull out is a 12, and then maybe after that you get, a 13. And so you just get these insanely strong creatures that, if I have 14 points to kill this creature, I'm just gonna continue. Why should I not be able to kill the final boss? You know, granted, I'm one short, but you get the idea. Like, if I'm at the point where I'm able to get 14 on a whim, probably at the point where I could probably kill the final boss. And so a lot of the enemies, it doesn't scale well, and it's a lot of the time seems just blatantly unfair. And then I didn't mention how you wind up dying. You die by getting, if you ever have, similar to the Attack on Titan deck builder, you have 3 of these ouch cards in your hand, then you are what's called unfortunately sober, which is effectively dead. You can be brought back through the course of the game, but if everybody dies in the co-op game, then everybody loses. Or if you're playing competitive, once your opponent dies or is sober, then you are declared the winner. And just when you're combining that, because that means you're going to be getting, with those super strong enemies, and a lot of times really hard to actually destroy them, you're going to be getting a lot of these ouch cards put into your deck, and it could wind up being a very quick game. And then the third kind of minor complaint that we had are these meeples and kind of where you are on the board almost feel pointless. That 9 times out of 10 we always forgot that this was a thing, because according to the rulebook, the only time your location actually matters at all is if there's a face-up enemy on your spot at the beginning of your turn. You get +1 buying power. That's all that happens. So moving around never really becomes a problem. You generally never really worry about it. So these just felt kind of pointless. And I know it sounds like I'm bashing the game, but I'm not really, because outside of those flaws, the game is functional and it is fun. I did enjoy, most of the games that I played. The first one was a little on the rocky side, but outside of that, every game that I played was enjoyable. There's a couple interesting mechanics where I would take control of your deck, but it's still your deck. So bad things can wind up happening, and that's kind of an interesting factor, or interesting mechanic as well. But a lot of the time it doesn't really take into effect. It doesn't really happen that often, or in our games it didn't. But I mean, overall the game is functional. It's a deck builder. I like deck builders, and if you like deck builders and you're okay with the theme and you're okay with the game sometimes just being unfairly difficult, then I recommend maybe give it a look, check it out. It is a fun little game. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you guys next time in the Quarantine.